If you're brand new to the IL2 Great Battles series and interested in ground attack, or maybe you've been ground pounding offline for a long time and are thinking about dipping a toe into the multiplayer scene, that's awesome. I'm going to give you the multiplayer 411 from a ground attacker perspective. The good news is there are a shitload of awesome servers of both the competitive and practice variety. They're created by fellow players through great effort, time, and personal expense, and I've posted links below to many of them in the description section below. One thing doesn't change from offline play. It's the same maps with the same terrain features at the same locations. The big difference is the added human dimension. Human players are exponentially more skilled and capable than AI, and that fact, more than anything else, really requires you to up your game. The first step to know your server is to read any available documentation the server administrators have provided to the players. This can normally be found on the server's webpage and maybe a few pages of descriptions up to a full-blown 40-plus page manual. The documentation will give you a general idea of how the server works, victory conditions, etc. But the only way to really get to know the server is to get in there and fly it and acquire experience. There is an interesting diversity of ground targets from one server to another. While the types of targets are generally buildings, bunkers, and vehicles, the size of the target area, the way it's laid out, and the flak threat vary greatly from one server to another and may require different plans and approaches. There are many operational possibilities and combinations between servers, and I'm going to cover a few of them, and whether you love them or hate them simply comes down to what you are looking to get out of the online experience, whether that be lighthearted fun or competition, a gaming experience, or more of a simulation experience. It's your choice. The first important variable is information, and I'm talking about what is displayed on your screen within a given server. Some servers like EU Official 1CGS Normal throw it all out there. Full digital HUD, aircraft and ground target icons are turned on, etc. On the other end of the extreme are servers like Tactical Air War, where just about all of those player aids are turned off, except inexplicably the digital compass. Other servers fall somewhere in between these two ends of the information spectrum. Some servers offer historical scenario-based mission maps, and some offer dynamic campaigns where combined player actions determine whether the front line advances or retreats on the subsequent mission map. You will also routinely see server limitations placed on aircraft availability, which is often based on the scenario timeline, the chronological point in time of a dynamic campaign, or simply play balance. Some servers have a limited number of aircraft types on certain airfields. Now for the bad news. There are generally at most only 2 or 3 servers at any given time posting high player numbers, and the Western European late afternoon, early evening time zone is generally when the overall online player numbers are the highest. But for a brand new ground attacker, that's not really bad news, because being the new guy in a server full of players is like going to prison, and half of the inmates can't wait to make you their bitch and abuse you in unspeakable ways. And unless that's your thing, that shit gets old real quick, and if you intend to end that ass kicking, you're gonna have to join a gang. There's an easy way and a hard way to acquiring that server experience. The hard way is to fly alone with minimal to no communication with other players and learn all the ins and outs by experiencing one nasty surprise after another. And that could go on for a pretty long time depending on the server. The easy way is to utilize a communication channel, fly with other people, and you are very likely to quickly find a few friendly souls who know that server and are happy to explain to you what's happening and why. And eventually you may discover that things are generally better for you all around when you join a squadron. However, if you want to fly ground attack online, don't like getting shot down over and over, but don't want to talk to anybody either, I strongly suggest high altitude level bombing to increase your chances of getting back to base in one piece, or just play in servers with low player numbers. If you're happy to communicate with your fellow players, let's talk about communication. We've all heard that adage, knowledge is power. Well, in IL2 multiplayer, knowledge enhances the chances of a successful mission and, just as important, mission survival. And there are 2 primary types of knowledge that are important in this arena: general knowledge of server mechanics and situational knowledge. That second type is perpetually changing, literally from minute to minute, and pertains to opposing player activity and locations, target area status, flak status at a target area, friendly player intent, activity, and locations, all the way down to more immediate concerns, such as if you have an enemy rapidly closing on your 6. There is a chat function present in every server where you can send a message to the players on your side only or to all players on both sides. It has its utility for posing general questions to one or both groups, but the more complex the issue discussed, the more limited this medium becomes because you have to type while you're trying to operate an aircraft. And I might add, for a World War II era simulation, this feature is just not realistic. Voice communications is simply a much more effective medium to send and receive real-time information. There are 3 voice communication platforms in use for IL-2 multiplayer, and they are all free to download. TeamSpeak has been around for years and is still in use, though it's not as popular as it used to be because Discord has come to the forefront, mostly because of the other features it offers and not because it's any better at voice communication. SRS is a newcomer to the scene, and a special version of it was created specifically for IL-2. It remains to be seen how prevalent it will be adopted and utilized. TeamSpeak and Discord have thousands, if not millions, of channels for online gaming worldwide. IL-2 has its own TeamSpeak and Discord channels, as do many multiplayer servers, and some servers support SRS. I think the benefits of voice communication are self-evident, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the drawbacks. To the uninitiated, it might be reasonable to expect that, for example, if there are 34 people currently on your team, you would be able to speak directly with the majority of them on a voice channel, but that would not be the case. First of all, many IL-2 squadrons have created their own squad TeamSpeak and or Discord channels, which is not a totally unexpected development, all things considered. It's kind of like different units using different radio frequencies, but access to those squad channels are for members and by invitation only. This has isolated voice communication into various compartmentalized pockets, and unless you have an invite or know the password to a squad's comm channel, you're not getting in. That's not to say squadron members are hiding in their squad channels all the time. There are plenty of squads that participate in server voice comms to some degree, but overall, separate squad channels do reduce the number of players directly accessible to you, the new guy. Secondly, there are some players that simply don't want to talk while they're playing, and there are all kinds of reasons for that, and I totally get it. Maybe a guy's been listening to people flap their fucking gums all day at work, and he just wants to relax and play for an hour before he has to go to bed, wake up, and deal with that shit all over again. Totally understandable. On the other extreme, you got guys on voice comms where it's pretty obvious these TeamSpeak and Discord conversations are a big part of their social life, and I've convinced for some of these guys it's their only social life, and they just never shut the fuck up. They're talking about their job, their wife, their dog, and personally, I don't give a fuck, and it's distracting and annoying, but if I have to choose between flying ground attack alone and getting shot down repeatedly, or flying with a large group of ground attackers with decent fighter cover, I personally will put up with all that bullshit that accompanies those kind of numbers. And fortunately, you can mute anybody you don't want to hear. So when you enter that voice communication initially, what you will most likely encounter is people like yourself from all over the world who are new to that server and or the game, and they are at different points in a journey toward finding their way and place in the IL-2 multiplayer experience. You will also meet very experienced people to show you the ropes, and you will be off and running in no time. The one piece of advice I'll give is to be proficient on as many Axis and Allied aircraft as possible, so you won't exclude yourself when the group decides on a formation of one specific aircraft type. I put links to the 3 voice communication platforms in the description section below. As always, thanks for watching. This is HVB. Peace out.